Hi. Today we'll be discussing Myxobolus cerebralis, also known to cause whirling disease. This is one of the parasites that is tested by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in PA at the Lamar Center. So, to diagnose Myxobolus cerebralis, the the United States Fish and Wildlife Services states that to confirm this parasite is by the identification of it in the histological section of cartilage tissue, or by using DNA and polymerase chain reaction (PCR). So first, you look at your your sampling under an electron microscope, and once you've identified something that looks like this, you can then go on to the more expensive options, such as the histological sections and the PCR. This is just one of the possible Myxobolus cerebralis species. This is what they look like. This is a very common one. So once you've gotten this far, you can then use histological sections, which is going to be fun and exciting. And here is a cross-section of a cartilaginous tissue from an infected fish sample. So you can see it right there. And then zoomed in, it looks something more like this. So this is one confirmation. Once you've gotten this far, you can confirm that this is in fact Myxobolus cerebralis. And then, or you could use the DNA from the parasite and polymerase chain reaction on a gel electrophoresis, and if it matches, then you also can confirm that it's Myxobolus cerebralis. Certain fish are more susceptible to this disease than others. This disease primarily targets salmonid fish. Some are more susceptible, some are more resistant. The more susceptible are rainbow trout, sockeye salmon, and steelhead. The brook trout, cutthroat trout, Atlantic salmon, and Chinook salmon they may show partial signs. They are susceptible, but not as badly as the other ones previously mentioned. We'll discuss a little bit why that's important later. And then the fish that are more resistant are brown trout, bull trout, coho salmon, and splake. So these salmonids may be carriers of the disease, so they don't have symptoms of what you'll see later. So this parasite was brought over from Europe and Asia, and so they were stocked into streams. So in the United States, we didn't have brown trout and etc. So we stocked them, and now we brought the parasite over. This parasite has also been found in Africa, New Zealand, and South American countries. So it's definitely expanded its range. This parasite likes cold water, and as you can see here, it's in the darker states. It's much more of a problem for this area, and then what borders Canada. I guess all of these border Canada. And so that is a big issue. And the life cycle of this parasite can be seen on the North Carolina's Wildlife Resource Commission's website. So it has a highly complex life cycle. That means that it requires two hosts to live. It requires the tubifex worm or another oligochaete, and some sort of host salmonid. So what happens is the salmon dies, and the spores are released into the sediment. The sediment is then filtered through by the tubifex worm, and once it is released, it can either be directly ingested from the tubifex worm, or it can be released into the water, where it has these things called TAMs, which if you can see, it's this like pronged structure that then goes onto the fish, hooks onto something like its gills, usually the face area, and injects the Myxobolus cerebralis into the trout. we previously stated, they thrive in cooler water, the bordering of Canada, and they can live in the sediment for up to a year. So the spores are pretty sturdy. So Myxobolus cerebralis is a parasite that causes whirling disease. Better definition by the state of Indiana is Myxobolus cerebralis, then penetrates the cartilaginous tissue, causing spinal deformities and erratic swimming patterns. So here we can see in red where the concentrations of this parasite is within the fish, around the head, possibly where it was injected, and then a lot in the lower tail section, and that causes this general deformation. So the whirling disease is characteristic of a kinked tail, and generally it also has this black skin discoloration, which causes it to swim in a whirling type pattern. So why is this important? Because when the tail is deformed, it makes it a problem for the fish to hunt. It also makes it a problem for the fish to get away when it is being hunted. So this is very common in young juvenile fish. Here you can see the vertical patterns or par markings that helps to indicate that this is a young fish. However, some species that are slightly resistant, as mentioned in the middle, like brown trout, they may grow to adulthood, but they will still suffer from this kinked tail, which may be a problem for hunting later or evading predators. But once they do get old enough, the cartilage is then hardened into a bone structure, so it's not going to continue to cause damage. It'll just be stuck with the damage it has. Treatment for this parasite, a big one is prevention. So don't take a fish that is infected in one pond and move it to an uninfected pond. That's really bad. And then to also, or your gear, clean your gear. Also to control the tube effects worm, so that's where it's gonna get it through a food source. And if you're not spreading the parasite through the food source, then you don't have to worry about the fish getting it. You can also use certain dips, so like a bath for your fish. And these are just examples. There's more, but these in low concentration solutions. And you could also use physical or chemical things. So like these are more for preventing or cleaning your equipment or gear. So make sure you like clean it. There's some pretty interesting UV light techniques for cleaning boats and gear and stuff like that. And you can also use these drugs to help for a fish that is infected. So that is the parasite Myxobolus cerebralis, which causes whirling disease.